Start recording. Okay, welcome back to Redeeming Our Roots. I've got with me my friend Marietta today. Hey, Marietta. Hi. So I wanted to bring Marietta on because we have an interesting story, and it's definitely a story about redeeming our roots. So she grew up in the same town I did in central Illinois. And so I want to give you guys a little bit of a background of why the story happened the way it did. So my dad was a loan shark for the Amish community, and people didn't like him real well. He would give them money for % or two higher than the bank, and then he would get very angry about it, and he made a lot of threats that I probably shouldn't even make public. So a lot of evil threats. And then his dad, sadly, which I think, did we discover we're like third cousins or something?
Somewhere along the lines we're related.
Yeah. Like your grandpa was my grandpa's cousin. I don't know. Anyway, somewhere along the line we are related, actually. So that's interesting. But dad, his dad, I guess started because I wanted to know how they got the nickname of Goat. My dad was Jake Goat. In Amish, it's Chekigas, which means goat. And we got made fun of, and people go bad us when they saw us, which was very embarrassing.
Shaming, yeah.
Very shaming. And so, but I found out later that dad's dad, my grandpa, would say, "Oh, here come my little goatlings," and gaslings. In Dutch, it was gaslings. And "oh, here come my little kids," and they're little gaslings, which are goats. And that somehow stuck. So
wow.
Dad was not, he was known to be very odd. No one liked him. No one liked us because we belonged to Jake Goat. So people would ask me questions, and then they would say, "Well, who are your parents?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to tell them," because immediately they got that glossy look over their eyes, like, "Oh." So all that to say now, Marietta, I'm going to have you. Well, first of all, so that's the reputation my family had, and Marietta and I were in the same Arthur, Illinois area for the Amish community, and we're both Amish. And forgot what I was going to say about that. So well,
when we turn 16, like, do you want to kind of set the stage for bunches?
Yeah. So when you turn 16, you reach out to other girls who you think, might want to be a part of your bunch. So I'll let you take it from there on how, I know what it was I was going to say. On Facebook, I was friends with you, and I had forgotten how I had met you. Like,
oh, right.
This
is just recently. Yeah.
Yeah, this was just
a year ago or a few years ago or whatever.
Yeah, a year ago maybe. And I was like, how did I get to know you? Because I saw your video, and you were showing some very strong courage about, you were doing the video about dating and everything relating, and I was like, wow, she's really got courage. I need to reach out to her. And I'm like, how do I know her? And so then I reached out to you, and you told me the story. So you go ahead and tell me the story.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm excited. So back to, it's interesting because I didn't actually know a lot about your dad. I just knew that the reputation wasn't great, but actually what caused my mom to freak out was not so much your dad's reputation as the big singing and little singing. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
So in the Arthur, in Rumspringa years, in your youth years, there was two groups of youth. One was the big singing, which was wild. And this was the reputation, was wild. They did all kinds of things. They didn't actually go in to sing. So the idea was every Sunday night there was a singing where the youth got together to sing hymns. There was no musical instruments, and you would file in with your group or your bunch, and you would sit down and sing. And the little singing went in to sing like good little boys and girls. And the big singing did all kinds of other things, like stay outside and smoke and
drink and smoke and
do all the bad things, right? And so I was about to turn 16, And my mom, my dad, my brother, my older brother was 18 months older than me. So he had already been sowing his wild oats and he was part of the big singing. So my mom was very much determined that I was not going to be part of the big singing, that I needed to go to the little singing and I needed to only associate with people who went to the little singing.
And I was not part of the little.
And you went to the big singing. So here's the funny story. Here's how Wilma and I know each other. So Wilma and I had we had really only kind of hung out periodically. Like we didn't really know each other that much, which is why I was surprised to even get the letter. I think there was one of Sylvan's. Was Sylvan's Joanna in your bunch?
Well, I had probably reached out to her, but I probably got the same no from her mom.
Well, because I knew her better than you, and somehow it was kind of like by association through somebody else that we kind of knew each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, because we didn't really fully know each other really at
No.
that time, we
No.
just knew of each other.
Right.
So one day my mom sat me down and I didn't know I had gotten a letter from you. One day my mom sat me down and she got out a letter that was addressed to me from you and she had opened it. I immediately felt violated and pissed off.
Yeah.
I was almost 16. I wanted to be free. I didn't care about big singing or little singing. I just wanted to be free. And I didn't feel like I could be free. Like my brother got to do things that I didn't get to do because he just did them anyway. And I was not, I felt very like oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And so she sat me down and told me that you had written me a letter and she took it upon herself to open it and that you had invited me to be part of your bunch and that I was under no circumstances allowed to do that because you go to the big singing. So she didn't make it about your dad or his reputation.
I didn't know that. See, I didn't know that piece.
She made it all about the big singing versus the little singing. I have no idea how she knew you were. I don't know
how did she know? Well,
I have no
she
idea.
came to the conclusion based on my dad.
Probably. But I'm saying she didn't bring that up to me.
Because we didn't have a letter that announced
right.
who's going to the big singing.
No. But she didn't say, Checky Helmuta are not good people. You're not allowed. No, it wasn't like that. It was literally this idea that Wilma does not go to the little singing and you are going to, and you need to be with people who are doing the right thing. And you're not going to be in bad company because bad company corrupts good character. And I mean, it was hardcore about the big singing, little singing, it was little about you, little about your parents, little about anything other than her idea of little singing, big singing.
Okay. The big question is, did you end up going to the little singing?
Kind of, but we didn't act like we did.
You were corrupt little singing?
We were worse off than if we would have just been allowed to go to the big singing. We were considered little singing, but we would always go, you know how they mixed and matched, like you could go where the big singing was and you could just go in and sing. And then afterwards you could be or hang around the big singing people.
Right. Yes.
So we had a lot of friends in the big singing. So my group, my bunch then, that I ended up joining was my mom's youngest sister, Ruby, who was only about 10 months older than me.
Oh.
I joined her group, her bunch, and they were considered little singing, but they did everything that the big singing did, except just not in public, not just, just because strict parents.
You got to keep it hush hush.
Sneaky kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just snuck around and did things rather than just being open about it in the big singing. We just snuck around. So whenever we would have the opportunity of going where the big singing was, we would try to make that happen because we had a lot of friends that were big singing friends. So we would, as soon as we were done singing, we'd go outside and find our friends and do all the things. It was no different, but we just did it in secret so that our parents thought we were doing the right thing. So,
which made it better. In their eyes.
In their eyes, it made them sleep better at night, but it made us dishonest or not authentic. We weren't able, and authenticity is such a big thing to me. So being sneaky wasn't what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be free.
Right, right.
So
then did you send me a letter back or did you just not?
I feel like I did in secret. I think I copied your return address without her knowing. And I think I sent you a letter just stating that my mom said I couldn't be in your bunch, but thank you for asking me.
Remember any of that.
So funny.
I had so much rejection. I don't remember.
But here we are all these years later. We were 16 at the time because you're only a couple months older than me. So we were both 16 at the time. And here we are 50,
Yes.
34 years later.
We've reached the rite to passage and we're 50 now.
Now
or that's how I feel.
Yeah, now we get to be in each other's bunch if we choose.
Yes. So I wanted to talk about this because I just think it's amazing how the Lord works. Like the redeeming our roots. Like here, I was considered not someone that's a good influence to you. And then we connect all these years later, and what we've discovered now is we're both into kind of like trauma coaching. We're both into helping other people get free and be authentic. And we're on our own journey to do the very same thing. And now God has brought us together again. So I just think, I mean, God is such I just want to give people hope that God has a way of working things out that we don't even know what he's doing, even if it's
34 years later.
Or whatever. Yeah, however many years later it's been. I'm the math there.
And what's so cool to me about this is now we actually get to choose to be friends from a free place, and we don't have to ask our parents. We don't have to have our parents' reputation or the big sing, little sing. There's nothing there other than just our sovereign right to choose who we're friends with.
Right. We have agency to choose.
Yes.
What we teach in the trauma world is
exactly. You have agency.
You have agency now.
We don't have to be friends just because we knew each other back then.
No.
Friends because we want to be.
Yeah. Because we have the same likes, or we're heading in the same direction.
Yeah, we resonate. Our frequency is similar. Our desires and goals and dreams of life are similar, and we've experienced freedom for ourselves, and we want more of it for ourselves, and we want to live more authentically to where we don't have to sneak around and do things to be free. We can just be free and then model that to the world.
So I happen to be married, but Marietta is single. So
I'd like to not be single anymore.
Yes. So we need to find you a man who is authentic, who's going down the same pathway that you're going. And so if anybody listening to this knows of a good 50-year-old single godly man who knows how to repair ruptures.
Yes.
Because one of the very important things I've learned along the way is it's not about if or when you have arguments, is can you repair your ruptures? Am I or the other person going to blame, well, why are you saying that? Why are you upset? No. Can you repair ruptures without shame and blame and manipulation and gaslighting?
Without the victim playing the victim game.
Yes, that you're just able to talk about things. And I can do that now with my current husband. It's taken me a couple marriages. I can at least tell you what not to do.
True. Yes, true. Yes.
So
when I kind of distill down what I believe is a need for me from a standpoint of a husband, of a partner, one of the things that God put in me early on was an epic love partnership. I don't want just a marriage. I want an epic love partnership. And so I did some coaching with a love coach years ago, and she had us write down all the things we thought we wanted in a man. And then she had us go through and say, where did those come from? Did those come from because you didn't have them as a child growing up? Do they come from because you didn't have them in your marriage? Like, are they true, pure desires, or are they reactions to something you didn't have? And so one by one, those things got, revealed. Are those reactions or are those actual needs? And so boiling it down to what I actually need in a man, she had us come up with a phrase, two or three words. She recommended 3 words that are distilled down to what we actually need and are a match for our epic love partnership. And mine was loyal, devoted king who's looking for his queen.
Oh, I love that. I like that. Loyal, devoted king looking for his queen. So you want someone who is in charge, but is using his power for your best.
Exactly. I want someone who wants to take each, I want to take, because kings and queens take each other's hands, not each other's crowns, right? So that is what I want. I want a partnership that we can hold hands and go through life, both as royalty, both as God is our sovereign king, and that we are kings and queens on the earth representing God's love, and that we are devoted to each other, we're loyal to each other, and we're operating in king and queen. We're not operating in princess and, princess and prince mentality anymore. We're grown people,
Yeah. I really like that. That's a great way to put it. And you are a strong person based on what you've had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've developed a strength, and you don't want a man who's going to be intimidated by that.
No, I want someone who I can soften with, who I can soften into more of my feminine strength and power and live there. But I also want to be able, I don't want someone who sees strength as a bad thing in a woman.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I don't want to be independent anymore, but I don't want someone who is intimidated by the fact that I've had to do things in life alone and I've had to learn to be independent, but I want to give that up now. But that doesn't mean I won't still be me. I won't still be a whole person. It's two whole people coming together, not two halves trying to cut together, making it a whole.
Right. Which is why it's good to deal with our own issues before we come together with someone else, because then we add the baggage on top of each other.
Yes. And there's always going to still be, like you've said, there's always still things to do to merge two full lives, especially at our age. That takes something, but you're not trying to make each other a whole person. You're bringing each other to a higher, like you're helping empower each other to live in your highest version of yourself.
You want to make each other better people.
Yes. Yes.
And one of the things that we look for in a healthy, non-toxic relationship is responsibility. So when I get triggered by you or my husband or anyone, it's my responsibility to communicate that and to take ownership of that and just say, hey, you triggered me. I'm trying to work through it, understand that this is what happened. And you can say, oh, I'm sorry I triggered you. But I'm not saying, Marietta, it's your fault that you triggered me.
Yes.
And that's what you have to have in a marriage when you've had a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a lot of pain, previous marriages, whatever it is. I mean, you've got all these baggage, so be able to sit down and say, okay, I think I'm triggered by what you just said, but I'm walking through it. And then, like, I do that with my husband now all the time. And he's able to just say, okay, you're triggered. Let's walk through that. And it doesn't have to be Mount St. Helens erupt.
Yes, and it doesn't have to mean that the relationship is over now. That's what I think. I think I was conditioned to believe that when there's a big rupture, that means it's over.
Right, because you haven't been able to resolve. I mean, if in the past your brain says once you have a rupture, that's over. But if you start building new neural pathways to say, I can repair this.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay at the end.
And true repair actually is meant to take people towards connection, not away from connection, right?
Yeah, you actually, when you do repair ruptures, the relationship gets stronger no matter who you're relating with, because you've actually been able to look at each other and say, no, this is really what's happened here.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this? And that just makes it really nice.
I can't wait. I'm so excited for that. I mean, I experienced that in my other relationships, but I've not experienced that. I've dated men who were able to do that, but because we've not lived together or been married, it's not brought up as many. I truly believe that I'm about as healed as I can be on my own, and the next level of healing will have to come in relationship. And that's another thing that I believe God does is like in God's kingdom on the earth, how you get hurt is also how you get healed.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I'm excited to fully heal in marriage from a standpoint of being emotionally intelligent enough to know that if a button can be pushed, if my button can be pushed, it's still my button to deal with.
Yeah. And their buttons can be pushed too.
Exactly. And then they get to deal with that. Doesn't mean we don't do it together, but we're each responsible for our own.
Right. Like an example of my husband now, one day he came home late and he knew we were going to have people over for dinner. And I was very upset because I'm like looking at the time going, he's going to roll in here right before dinner and he's not going to help me with anything. Right. And so I was sitting in the bathroom where I do my best work, sitting on the toilet, and I just, had this aha moment. Wilma, why don't you just tell him what you're feeling? And I thought, well, what a novel idea. And so when he came home, he could tell I was upset. And he said, what's wrong? I said, I'm just really disappointed. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, time got away from me. But all the other things I had thought about saying, well, fine, you finally showed up.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive or just give him the silent treatment. Hi. I thought of all
nice of you to finally show up.
Yeah, all these things I could have sent messages that would have been hurtful. Okay.
It wouldn't have got you any healing for what you were actually feeling anyway.
No, it wouldn't have helped. So my response to that situation changed the situation.
Yes, that's so beautiful. I love it.
So that's what we got to learn is that's our responsibility. So when I simply said, okay, what is it I'm really feeling? I'm not angry, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
That's what I was feeling. And so when I was able to verbalize, put words to what I was feeling, then he could respond with, I'm really sorry. And then he said later, are you going to be mad at me all night? And I said, well, maybe. And we just laughed and then it just kind of
Isn't it so beautiful that you felt safe enough to do that? To say, because I think that's when we learn, when we're not safe, when our emotions haven't been safe with people, then it's really hard to say how we feel. And then we just say what we think, or we react, or we do things to show that we're really not happy. And it doesn't, for men need to know what your emotion is, not what your thoughts are, or not what your reactions are. Like, what are you feeling? And they respond, the masculine responds to the feminine emotion very well. If they're healed, if they're healthy.
Right. So, that's just an example of taking responsibility and how things will turn out differently if you have a healthy husband.
Yes.
If you don't have a healthy husband, he could have said, well, what's your problem? I was out working.
Yeah, exactly. Problem. Yeah.
That's not healthy. That doesn't help.
Yeah.
My feeling was valid and you validated it. Yes, I was upset. I might be upset a little while longer, but we'll get through it.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do in a relationship is be afraid of a rupture because they should, if you're really being real, chances are you're going to have ruptures on a regular basis. If you're really saying what you think. Now, if you're canning everything and you're thinking, now, if I say this, then what will he say? If I say, and then you're trying to do all this crap in your head, well, yeah, you could probably keep from having ruptures, but wouldn't it be better just to let things happen and then you can apologize if it's said wrong, but at least you're not sitting in fear of.
Yes, not on eggshells or tiptoeing.
So, all that to say, we're back in the same bunch.
We are
redeeming our roots and helping other people redeem their roots.
That's right.
So my website is wilmakinsman.com. You can email me there. Did you want to share any of your contact information?
Just find me on Facebook, Marietta Miller.
Okay.
Send me a message. That's the best way, and then I can send stuff over.
And if any men are interested in you, they can send me an email, and then I'll vet them first.
There you go.
Sister Wilma is on it. Most importantly, we may be cousins twice, 3 times removed. I don't know, but we're sisters in Christ. So that's important. And we'll see what God does. And is there anything else you wanted to share?
No, just thank you for this. I love listening to conversations like this. So I know that people will love listening to this kind of conversation, just real, in the moment, live.
Yes.
And so
which is why we didn't plan anything.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's
but
true.
We will in the future. I think we're going to do what not to do therapy session, right?
Yes, that
Based
would be so
on
funny.
Bob Newhart, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do that. So coming soon, we're gonna try to get that. So we'll see if this recording, hopefully this recording will have worked, and I will be able to send it to you, and you can share it and I can share it, and
Perfect.
we'll go from there. So I'm gonna
Awesome.
stop this recording. Stop recording.